Welcome to our new exhibition at Schering Stiftung. We are showing this exhibition at our project space, which is unter den Linden in Berlin-Mitte in the historic city center. We have 3 different categories of images that we see in this exhibition. Sarah Schönfeld experiments with hormones from the body, sexual hormones like testosterone and estrogen. We also have substances that come from medicine, but they're used to influence these hormonal processes in our bodies. But then we also have bodily fluids, and one of the bodily fluids that we probably all know best is mother's milk, or as I rather call it, breast milk. It's the biggest photograph that we have in this show. It has a bright purple background and a blue organism in the middle. It has a very natural look. Some see a sort of like island in it or an ice shield. There's also lichen that you can detect in it. And what's interesting is that it's such a substance that comes from the body, is produced in the body, and the look of it is also probably the most natural of all the images in the show.
So the images are the outcome of a photochemical process, and I would say it's a sort of hybrid between painting and photography. That means I use the framework of photography and then I'm messing around in this framework with like painterly gestures. For doing this, I use various substances. For example, in this exhibition, I used estrogen or testosterone or mother's milk or also the abortion pill. And then I dissolve them in water or alcohol, depending on the substance. Sometimes they are already dissolved, like an injection medicine. And sometimes I dissolve them myself. In this case, it's estrogen. And then to paint the photographs, I use an already exposed negative, and then I drip as an ink or as a paint the liquid on the photonegative. So the result when I drip onto the photonegatives looks like this, or can look like this. The chemical is altering the surface of the negative and also the color, and sometimes it even grows like 3D in the height and develops different shapes or colors. As a last step, I'm going to the darkroom or the photo lab, and I'm printing them and making them bigger. When I print, it happens that the constellations, like for example the little things which grow on the negatives, or also the background, can be different over the time, and that's why every print is actually unique, because in the time it's like sort of unstable. Like every time there's a moment when I'm going to the lab and I print it, that there's a moment in time it looks like this, and then maybe half a year later it looks totally different already. So the funny thing is that the photonegative also changes color over time, and sometimes it happens that I print, for example, this, the mother's milk, I printed, let's say, 2 months after I dripped the liquid on the negative, and the background was blue, and half a year later I printed this exhibition and then it was purple. And it's a bit unclear why that happens, but I'm using these little plastic boxes to preserve them, and probably there's like some sort of chemical process going on from the moment on when I drip it, and then it's just continuing over the time.
The exhibition design was actually a subject of discussion for a while. We started with a workshop to which we invited various scholars, for example, from literature, philosophy of science, also practicing artists. Most of them Sarah knew already, she was already in dialogue with them, and we realized during that workshop that the body is actually an element that really has to be integrated in the exhibition. And also the dynamics of all the hormones that is happening inside our bodies and the dynamics that it creates. We wanted to find a way to integrate that into the exhibition. And the idea in the end was to mirror some of the backsides of the photographs so that the mirror images of the people visiting the exhibition becomes part of the installation. We have two big works that have a mirrored backside. For once, there is orgalutran. It's a substance that you use in processes of assisted reproduction, and you try to manipulate ovulation with it. It is in the middle of the space. You can see a reflection of the pill in it, and you can also see a reflection of the pill after and of yourself. There's another mirrored backside with a substance called progesterone, where you actually can't see your head, you can only see your body. So it also shifts sort of like what you see and how you see yourself in the images.
One of my main inspirations was actually the lecture of the books of Silvia Federici, especially Caliban and the Witch, which is a book about the role of the women in society and the witch hunts. The witch hunts took place between the 15th and the 18th century, and for most people it seems very far away and like it's not concerning us anymore. But Federici's take on this history, part of history, is that it is part of the onset of capitalism, so that the sphere of production and reproduction are being split, and the women are being pushed into the house and into basically unpaid labor. The witch hunt actually eliminated a lot of very important knowledge, which was centered around fertility, pregnancy, also abortion, like all this regulation of concerning the female body, and inserted the women into a sort of hierarchy, like their reproductional function is better controllable. And all this fascinated me a lot, and I wanted to find a way to speak about that and also to bring it into the conscious and into the public again, so that we can start to talk. And one other reason that I did this work was that I had a baby myself, and I was confronted within our society with a lot of question marks and a lot of things which I had to process with my artistic research. This is actually also how I work, that there is things which I observe, and in this case it had to do with my body within our society, and through this process then I can answer my questions, or I can deal with them better after. This personal story is also quite important to mention because this exhibition has a soundtrack which I composed with a friend of mine who's actually a DJ but also a sound producer. And we used only the samples of the sounds I did during the birth of my child, and also from the heartbeat of my baby before he was born. So the beat of the baseline of the track is actually the heartbeat, and all the sounds we hear before, like it's a soundtrack in 3 parts, is a sort of composition with the samples from the birth, but like going through a filter in different tone heights, which represent actually the different glands in the body. So with a certain frequency, you can stimulate a certain gland in the body, which is releasing hormones. And every hormone is released by different glands. For example, the thyroid or the ovaries, or some hormones also released everywhere in the body, in all the cells. But the different frequency can stimulate to release these hormones. And we worked with these frequencies, so every hormone has different harmonies, let's say. So I really wanted to address as well the discourse around the abortion and the rights of abortion, or in general the reproductive rights of women. Even with the support of the Schering Stiftung, it was not possible for me to get the abortion pill for this project. Because it's so regulated and restricted, and it's actually criminal. So every woman gets an exception from the law and doesn't get punished, but it's criminal. The abortion pill, which I used now in this exhibition, because I really wanted to have it in this exhibition, I got it from France because it's it's in the Constitution and it's legal. And yeah, I have to say I was a bit shocked about the fact that it's even for artistic or scientific purposes, it's not possible to get any access to this here in Germany.
Everything we see in this room are basically hormones and pharmaceutical substances that influence and regulate those hormones. And this is exactly the field of research and development that Schering Pharma was interested in. They were the first company that brought the pill onto the German market in 1961. And they were always dealing in their company history with substances that would either regulate, prohibit pregnancy, or enhance it. So this is also a hint to where we come from as the Schering Foundation, because obviously the name says it already. Schering Stiftung comes from Schering Pharma, the company. It was founded in 2002, and in 2006 the company was sold to its competitor Bayer, and we are happy to get back to our own roots with this exhibition. So having said that, what Schering started in their research and development department is something that Sarah Schönfeld in Labor Lab brings up again, but she uses the substances and plays with them in an experimental way. She does photochemical experiments. What this exhibition also brings out is it refers to a common history of photography and pharmacy. So if we look back at the very founder of Schering Pharma, Ernst Schering, he was a chemist and he tried out various things. And in his Grüne Apotheke on Chausseestraße, he was not only experimenting with pharmaceutical substances, but also with photographic chemicals. And this is basically what we bring together again. Two things that separated over the years and during the course of the 20th century come together in this exhibition again.